I am Zhaoyao. The world never speaks a kind word of me. All the tales circulating in the Jianghu paint me as an arrogant, unruly, bloodthirsty fiend, a notorious female demon. They say I dwell atop demon-sealing mountain, founded the Myriad Paths sect, run rampant without restraint, defy immortal sex, and fear no heavenly law, a heretic that both righteous and demonic factions seek to destroy. Yet all along, the most sincere, upright, and passionate soul, untainted by worldly treachery, has been none other than me, the Demoness condemned by the entire Jianghu. I have lived fiercely, recklessly, and openly. I have loved, grieved, trusted, hated, died, and been reborn. I have seen through the falsity of good and evil, and tasted the coldness of human hearts. In the end, I learned that demonic paths are not inherently wicked, nor are immortal sects inherently virtuous. The world's definition of right and wrong is nothing but absurd prejudice. My youth was the purest, most unspoiled time atop demon-sealing mountain. I grew up isolated on this mountain, far from Jianghu conflicts and worldly schemes, living only with my grandfather. The land was desolate and quiet, free from mortal rules and immortal formalities, allowing me to live wild, free, and genuine. I never studied sage teachings, nor understood the worldly definitions of good, evil, and morality. I abided by only one simple truth: protect the kind, strike down the wicked. Repay every sincere kindness I receive, and fight to the end against all insult and injustice. Back then, I was naive and pure, yearning for the Jianghu beyond the mountains, and holding reverence for the so-called righteous immortal sects. I believed all robed immortals who preached justice were compassionate and upright. I craved light, a righteous immortal path, and worldly tenderness, until I met Luo Mingxuan. He was the first ray of light to break into my barren youth, a revered, golden immortal, gentle, refined, and ethereal. I had never beheld such pure tenderness before. In my youthful ignorance, I foolishly believed he embodied the utmost goodness and virtue in the world. I fell for him, longed for the world beyond the mountains because of him, and yearned to step out of my isolated home to chase the light he represented. But I never imagined that ray of light I devoted my whole heart to pursue would turn out to be the sharpest blade, cutting me down and destroying my entire life. Luo Mingxuan's tenderness was a facade, his righteousness a pretense. Beneath his elegant exterior lay the hypocritical bigotry and cruelty inherent to the immortal sects. He did not uphold justice for all living beings. He only guarded the reputation of the immortal sects and his own arrogant pride. Blinded by prejudice, he deemed everyone born on demon-sealing mountain inherently evil, judging character solely by origin and never seeing the sincerity in my heart. I ran toward him with pure youthful devotion, only to be met with groundless suspicion, repeated imprisonment, insult, and manipulation. He wounded me, humiliated me, trapped me, and crushed every ounce of my girlish sincerity into dust. What broke my heart most utterly was the death of my grandfather, the only person in the world who truly loved and raised me. He sacrificed himself fighting Luo Mingxuan to save me, dying beneath the false righteousness of the immortal sects. The moment my grandfather drew his last breath, all my youthful innocence, tenderness, and longing for light vanished without a trace. I woke up completely. The great righteousness of the immortal sects was nothing but hypocrisy. The world's division of good and evil was nothing but prejudice. Those immortals who preached compassion and morality struck far more ruthlessly and unscrupulously than any demon. From that day forth, the naive girl who once yearned for light was gone. In her place stood the unrestrained, unyielding sect leader of Myriad Paths. I left demon-sealing mountain, abandoning immortal paths and false light to build the Myriad Paths sect with my own hands. I took in all those exiled by immortal sects, rejected by righteousness, and wronged by the world. I declared to all under heaven, my sect judges no one by birth, no one by superficial good and evil. We shelter only those with upright and genuine hearts. The world cursed me for harboring villains and corrupting the Jianghu, yet I chose to defy the world. I would give every outcast, every soul failed by prejudice, a safe haven to belong. In those years, I became the most unbridled figure in the entire Jianghu. Draped in blazing red robes, I struck decisively, avenged every grievance, and lived entirely by my own will. I feared no siege from immortal sects, no worldly gossip. Whoever bullied my disciples would answer to me. Whoever abused their power would fall to my blade. I lived without hypocrisy or pretense, fervent, unrestrained, and unapologetically myself. I was the Demoness the world feared, yet I lived with a purer heart than any of my accusers. It was during this most arrogant and fearless period of my life that I met Mo Qing. He was the despised son of the demon lord, born into misery, tormented and humiliated all his life, weak, wounded, and abandoned by the whole world. I saved him on a whim amid the chaos, merely pitying his suffering. I never knew that this casual act of kindness would become the deepest attachment of my life, my only salvation and final refuge for all my years to come. I have always been fiercely protective of my own. After saving him, I kept him by my side, granting him shelter and peace. I called him boy, treating him openly and sincerely with no caution or scheme. I thought we were nothing more than master and subordinate, that I would raise him and he would stand with me in the Jianghu, and nothing more. Arrogant and focused on my sect and my freedom back then, I never saw the hidden love and obsession lingering in his eyes. The day the Myriad Jun sword descended was the turning point of my fate. I rushed to the sword mound to claim the Myriad Jun sword, hoping to strengthen my sect and safeguard my disciples. Yet I never expected the boy I had wholeheartedly protected and trusted to seize the sword before everyone's eyes. The sword wielded overwhelming divine power, devastating in its impact. I suffered fatal injuries, my spirit shattered, my cultivation depleted, my body reduced to nothing, vanishing entirely between heaven and earth. That betrayal came without warning, piercing straight to my soul. I had never resented the Jianghu or the immortal sects, yet I fell victim to the young man I had sheltered with my own hands. The world condemned Mo Qing for stealing the sword and killing his master, branding him ungrateful and vicious. As my consciousness faded into darkness, I believed it too. I thought I had misjudged him, that my kindness had nurtured a wolf that would turn on its benefactor. I died, killed by the person I trusted most, amid the bustling chaos of the Jianghu, drowned in the despair of a heart broken beyond repair. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. 5 years reshaped the world, turning tides in the Jianghu and changing all mortal things. A wisp of my soul lingered, drifting rootless and unseen through the world, watching the myriad paths sect I had built with my own hands fall entirely into Mo Qing's possession. The sect I had protected so dearly flourished under his rule, growing powerful and renowned across the Jianghu. My soul returned to my mortal body, and I came back quietly, hiding my form and my former edge. In the humblest state, I stepped foot into the sect I knew best. I returned filled with resentment and unwillingness. I hated his betrayal, his seizure of power, his betrayal of every sincere feeling I had given him. I plotted revenge, planned to reclaim my power, and make him taste the despair of death and soul fragmentation I had endured. Knowing his obsession and undying fondness for me, I lurked in the shadows, testing him repeatedly, manipulating, tormenting, and challenging him at every turn. I thought my heart had turned to stone, hardened by life and death, immune to affection and softness. I believed I had nothing left but hatred, obsession, and regret. But as days turned to months, I slowly uncovered the hidden truth and silent forbearance behind the sword mound incident. I finally learned he had never betrayed me. The Myriad Jun sword had its destined master, and only he could endure its violent power to preserve my scattered soul. His theft of the sword, his forcing my death, his letting me drift away, none of it was for power or dominance. It was his lone sacrifice to save my soul, to keep me alive. While the world reviled him as a traitor and a villain, he endured all the slander, loneliness, and longing alone for 5 long years. During my 5 years of absence, he lived as my shadow. He guarded my sect, protected my disciples, cherished every trace I had left behind. Day after day, year after year, his obsession never faded, his longing never ceased. Bearing the world's scorn, he stood alone in the empty sect, waiting silently, hoping for my return, praying for our reunion. Once, my arrogance kept everyone from daring to defy me. Yet only this young man endured all my misunderstandings, hatred, and torment without complaint or defense. No matter how I lashed out and blamed him, his eyes held only me, and he shielded me with endless tenderness without hesitation. He told me that he had fallen for me at first sight in his youth, that I was his one and only lifelong obsession. All his forbearance, scheming, suffering, and lonely persistence had always been for me and me alone. He craved no domain, no power, no fame. All he ever wanted was for Zhaoyao to live safely, for, in that moment, the ice that had sealed my heart for 5 years melted completely. All my resentment, unwillingness, and grievance vanished into thin air, leaving only aching tenderness and burning, devoted love. In my life, I have witnessed the falsest light and endured the cruelest heartbreak. I once stood against the entire world, arrogant and unyielding, feared by all yet lonely at heart. I hated the world's prejudice, despised its hypocritical division of good and evil, and spent half my life fighting alone, thinking I would forever walk the path of solitude and defiance. I once believed that all devotion was futile, that all trust ended in betrayal, that I could only rely on myself in this cruel world. I built walls around my heart, wielding arrogance as my armor and recklessness as my blade, refusing to yield or soften for anyone. Until Mo Qing, until this boy who endured all my darkness, accepted all my flaws, and loved me unconditionally through every storm. He saw me at my most domineering, my most violent, my most unforgiving, yet he never feared me, never left me. He loved not a perfect, gentle version of me, but the true me, arrogant, willful, fierce, and scarred. He loved every part of me, the good and the bad, without pretense or reservation. The world praises gentle, docile love, but no one understands the beauty of ours. It is a love forged in blood and misunderstanding, tempered by years of lonely waiting and silent sacrifice. He bore all the sins and slander for me, endured years of solitary longing for me, and chose to stand behind me silently, so I could keep my pride, my edge, and my unrestrained freedom. I once died in despair, convinced I had lost everything, but fate gave me a second chance. I was reborn, not to avenge my past, but to meet the one who never abandoned me, who waited faithfully for my return across 5 long years. I am Zhaoyao, the unruly Demoness of the Jianghu. I have always walked my own path, defying heaven and defying mortal rules. But for Mo Qing, I am willing to lay down my sharpness, let go of my hatred, and soften my unyielding heart. They say I have tamed the most ruthless demon lord in the world. Yet the truth is far simpler and more touching. He is the one who tamed my restlessness, healed my scars, and rescued my lonely soul from the darkness. All the chaos and disputes of the Jianghu, all the fame and notoriety, all the struggles between good and evil, none of it matters anymore. After experiencing life and death, misunderstanding and reunion, I finally understand what true belonging is. Righteous sects may preach universal salvation, but they never saved me. The world may praise virtue, but it never treated me kindly. Only Mo Qing, in all his silence and persistence, loved me, protected me, and stayed with me through every trial and every lifetime. I once lived for freedom and revenge. Now I live for him. My name is Zhaoyao. I walked a defiant path for half my life, shocking the world with my recklessness. Yet in the end, all my arrogance and unruliness settles gently for one person. I have fought against heaven and earth, against prejudice and betrayal, and finally found my peace in his persistent, unwavering love. No matter how the world judges me, no matter how many storms I have weathered, I have no regrets. I once carried the notoriety of evil, endured endless loneliness, and stood alone against the world. But I was blessed enough to meet Mo Qing, the one who waited for my rebirth, who loves my wildness, who redeems my entire life. from hatred to affection, from misunderstanding to reunion, from life-severing betrayal to lifelong devotion. We have walked through darkness and dawn together. For the rest of my days, I will no longer walk alone. My unrestrained, spectacular life, once feared by all, now belongs solely to him.